Okay, here we go. This is 5.7. Given that negative 4 is one of the solutions of the equation x to the third power plus 6x to the second power plus 5x minus 12 equals 0, find the other solutions. So the x is to the third power, so there's 3 solutions. Now, you cannot use grouping with this. I know there's 4 terms, but I want you to look at this. Don't write it down. So if I go into my grouping, I put those two and 1x third and 6x squared, then 5x and 12. GCF there, okay, there's x squared, there's negative, and then 1 and 6 is 1, so I divide that, I get 1x plus 6. But over here, the only GCF you got is 1. Now you would put 1 there, you need something to go there in the GCF and grouping. But is this looking like it's going very well for me? No, because the parentheses don't match. Okay, so today we begin the process of learning when those parentheses don't match what we're going to do. Now in this assignment, they're going to give us one of the answers, negative 4. Now here's how you get the other two. You're going to use that synthetic division that we did yesterday. It's the L. So your negative 4 is what you're going to have as your divisor. Then your dividend, x to the third is a degree, so 1 is my x to the third coefficient, 6 is the x to the second, 5 is the x, and then negative 12 is the constant. You don't put 0. Now we drop the first term, 1, and every time something drops, it gets multiplied by negative 4. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4, but don't put it here. You put it right here so you can add 6 to it. So that's 2. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. 5 plus negative 8 is negative 3, and then negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. So that's 0. You should get a remainder of 0 here. Now, that 1 was x to the third, but now it's x to the second, and the 2 is an x. The minus 3 is a constant, and just put equals 0. Now you're going to bring that trinomial over here, and you're going to solve it by factoring. So it's 3 terms, so go with GCF t. And that's what you're going to be doing here, GCF t. So there's no x on the last term. You don't need a negative. 1, 2, and 3 is 1, so we ain't doing it. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, so it's a positive times a negative, and the factors have to add to get to positive 2. 1 and 3, that's negative 2. I can make it positive 2 easily if I just make the 3 plus and the 1 a negative. Now, I'm going to be making 4 parentheses. Okay, I might not need the second 2. If I don't, I don't. Okay, A, B, C. So I circle the A term, and you can write it down here if you want. Now the 1, you can drop the 1, and then x squared is xx, then minus 1 plus 3. And I can't divide that down, okay? Now bring those out here. Actually, just look at them here. That's a plus, it just gets dropped. That's a minus, but x is not a perfect square, okay? So that gets dropped. We put equals 0, and I'm going to find one answer from each, okay? Pretty easy to do. X plus 3 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. So I subtract 3, x equals negative 3, and then I add 1, x equals 1. So there's your 3 roots. Okay, second problem. Given that 8 is one of the solutions of the equation x to the third power minus 2x to the second power minus 40x minus 64 equals 0, find the other 2 solutions. So there's 3 solutions. Don't try to group. It's not going to work. 8 is your first answer. So then what I can do with that first solution is use that as my divisor in the synthetic division. So x to the third is the polynomial degree, so it's 1. Negative 2, negative 40, negative 64. Okay, so 1 gets dropped and it gets multiplied by 8. Don't put 8 here, you put it here, then you add. The only thing that doesn't have anything added is the first number. So negative 2 plus 8 is 6. And then 6 times 8 is 48. Negative 40 plus 48 is 8. Then 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, and that gives me 0. Okay, so now instead of an x to the third, it's a 1x to the second plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Now I factor the trinomial. So GCF. I didn't give you a lot of workspace here, so, and then table. No x, no negative, 1, 6, and 8's 1. Don't do it. So 1 times 8 is 8. It's positive, so the signs have to match. It has to add to positive 6, so we want them to add as positives. 1 and 8 doesn't do that. 2 and 4, that does it. Okay. Okay, now I'm always going to be making 2 sets starting now. Well, I started it before. Now here's my A. So if it's a 1, you can drop it, and it's just XX again, plus 2, plus 4. Don't need that second group because you can't divide it down. Okay, both these get circled and line them up down here. Okay, 1 comes from there, 1 comes from there, so that's only 2 I need. So x plus 2 could equal 0. Then x would equal negative 2. Then x plus 4 could equal 0. And in that instance, x could be negative 4. So those are all your roots. Okay, 8, negative 2, and negative 4. Okay, given that 10 is one of the solutions of the equation 4x to the third power minus 25x to the second power minus 154x plus 140 equals, that should be 40, not 140. Find the other 2 solutions. So there are 3 roots because of the third power, and we're given 1 root. Now tomorrow we'll have to find that first root. Okay, it's kind of an annoying thing. It's not really hard. And then once I have that, I can perform synthetic division to get it down into a degree 2. So we have 4, negative 25, negative 154, and then positive 40. So I carry the leading coefficient down. And then 4 times 10 gives me a product of 40. You don't put it there, you put it here, so you can add it to the negative 25. And that's positive 15. Okay, 15 times 10 is 150. And then negative 154 plus 150 is negative 4. Then negative 4 times 10 is negative 40. When you add those, you get your 0. Okay, so now that used to be 4x to the third, but now it's 4x second plus 15x minus a constant of 4 equals my remainder 0. Okay, bring that over here. 4x the second plus 15x minus 4 equals 0. So there's 2 more answers we have to find. It's 3 terms, so GCF and the T table. Okay, you don't have an x, so no x. You don't have a negative. 4, 15, and 4 is just 1. 4 and 15 are only in the first row. A, B, C. So 4 multiplied by negative 4 is negative 16, so that's a positive times a negative, and they have to add to positive 15. Well, 1 and 16 is negative 15. When you add to make it positive, you just go plus on the 16, minus on the 1. Okay, now highlight your A. Just make 4 every time. Okay. So this time A is 4x to the second, so we need to start off with a 4. Don't try to break the coefficient down, but you do break x to the second into x. Then minus 1 plus 16, I think you can reduce. That would stay the same. This is divided by 4. That's 1x plus 4. Okay, now just look at the factors in there. You don't have space to go write dops off this side. The plus, you can take the 1 off. Would just drop. Now the minus, 4 is 2 times 2, but it's not x to any power. Okay, so that also gets circled. So there we have it. And then 1 answer comes from each parentheses, which is all we need. So x plus 4 equals 0. Minus 4, I get negative 4. 4x minus 1 equals 0, and I add 1. 4x equals 1, divide by 4, and we're just going to keep that at 1/4. Okay. So again, very important to pay attention to your A. If it's a 1, you can discard it. Okay, given that 9 is one of the solutions of the expression 2x to the power of 3 minus 10x to the power of 2 minus 71x minus 9 equals 0, find the other two solutions. This problem's we're gonna hit a bump a little bit, but we have a way to deal with it. So 9 is your first solution. Then my coefficients are 2, negative 10, negative 71, and negative 9. So I carry down the leading coefficient. 2 times 9 is 18. Negative 10 plus 18 is 8. And then I take 8 times 9, that's 72. Negative 71 plus 9 is 1, negative 71 plus 72 is 1. And then 1 times 9 is 9, giving me 0. So now everything looks like it has before. I have 2x to the second plus 8x plus 1 equals 0. So it's a trinomial. I'm going to try to factor it. GCFT. We're going to hit a little problem here. No x, no negative, 2, 8, and 1's 1. So really I haven't done the GCF yet. Okay. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2. That's positive. We're trying to add to positive 8. And you're like, wait, what? 1 and 2 is the only factors, and that doesn't add to positive 8. So warm up your voice, it's singing time. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a, over 2a. So, plus minus, now the opposite of our b is negative 8. And we're going to get two answers. Now bottom, you got 2 times a. Okay, so let's just replace the a with 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now write that square root over here. So b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so b is 8. And a is 2. And c is 1. Okay, so you drop your minus. Okay. 8 times 8 to the second power is going to be 64, and then 4 times 2 times 1 is 8. Now 64 minus 8 is the square root of 56. Okay. Now I would like that simplified. You don't have to use the I, but I would like that simplified from the board because 56 isn't on the board, so I'm going to make 2 square roots. So 56 from the board is divisible by 4. 56 divided by 4 is 14, and that's 2. So it's 2 square root 14. Now, since I don't have the I, I'm going to add across the top. I'm going to go negative 8 plus 2, and I'm going to hit second and get to my square root, and I'm just going to place a 14 and close my parentheses, just like that. Now, click equals, and then divide that by 4. So negative 0.13. Okay, then negative 8 minus 2 second square root, 14. Click equals, divide that by 4, and you get negative 3.87. Those are your 3 roots. Okay, so if the t-chart doesn't work, then we go to our quadratic formula. Opposite of b, 2 times a. And by the way, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Okay? You have another option if you do it this way. You know what? You're going to have negative 8 and 4. You can punch that square root into your calculator all at once if you do this. Go second and hit the square root key next to the 7. Now you need to make your own parentheses for the 8. Then close it, raise it to the second, and then minus parentheses 4, parentheses 2, parentheses 1. Okay, 7.48. And then I can just add, hit equals, and divide. Negative 0.13. Negative 3.87. So again, it is possible just to get to the decimal if you just plug that into your calculator. You hit second, x squared, double your parentheses up. You need, even though a parentheses comes up, you have to make them. So you're going to put 8 second power minus 4, 2, 1. Okay, 7.48. Now, if you get a domain error, that's a different story. Except I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, next problem. Given that x plus 3 is a factor of the equation f of x just means y, okay? 2x to the third plus 3x to the second minus 8x plus 3, find the other zeros of the equation. Now you find zeros just like you do solutions. It's x to the third, so there's 3 of them. And we got one of them. To find it, you got to set the expression, the factor, equal to 0. So I get negative 3. And now you proceed everything the same way. So negative 3 is your divisor. And your dividend is 2, 3, negative 8, positive 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. That gives me negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. That's 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, and we get 0. So now that was 2x to the third, but now it's x second, x constant, and 0. So I have 2x to the second minus 3x plus 1 equals 0, and that's 3 terms. So we're going to solve it by factor, or at least trying to factor. Remember, if it doesn't work, you go to the quadratic formula. Okay, no x, no negative, that's just 1. 2 times 1 is 2, positive. Now it's got a negative, negative. It's got to add to negative 3, so we want to keep them at negative, and 1 and 2 does that. Okay, there it is. Okay, now my A needs to be highlighted. Okay, remember how to break that A down. You know you got minus 1, minus 2. But what about the A? You need to keep the 2 coefficient. 2, 2, and then x, x. So it's 2x minus 1, 2x minus 2. That doesn't reduce. That'll stay the same. You need to reduce that by 2. So it becomes 1x minus 1. Okay, now let's look at our factors. That's a minus, but 2 is not a perfect square, so we can line that up. That's a minus. Now take the 1 off. X is not a perfect square, so we can line that up. Okay, and then we go 2x minus 1 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. So we add 1, that's 1. Divide by 2, that's 1/2. Add 1, you get 1. Okay. All right, we're not doing the next page. Okay. There's an application piece. Find the algebraic expressions of the other 2 dimensions. So that's these right here. Okay. You find it the same way. You take your one dimension that you know, the x plus 4, set that equal to 0. And that's negative 4. Now, since that's one of the zeros, we have our synthetic divisor. Then 2, 17, 46, and 40. So I drop my 2. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And I add, it's 9. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. That's 10. And then negative 40, and I'm at 0. So it was 2x to the third, but now it's 2x to the second plus 9x plus 10 equals 0. So now write your new equation after the division has been done. Now you're like, I need 3 answers, don't I? Well, not really. Okay, you get to the parentheses, and that's what you're going to put there. Okay, so 3 terms, so GCF table. No x, no negative, and that's 1. ABC, 2 times 10 is 20, positive. Now, the factors have to add to plus 9, so they both have to be plus, and if I divide that by 4, I get 5. Just trying to shorten things up. Now a is 2x to the second, so I'll be making the 4 parentheses every time. If I can't divide, I can't divide. So I don't break down this 2, but I do have to break down the x factor. Okay, x, then plus 4 plus 5. Now you can reduce this by 2, and that becomes 1x plus 2. You can't reduce that, that's 2x plus 5. Now that's plus, line it up. That's plus, line it up. Now we don't need to solve here, we just need to put those two expressions for the dimension. X plus 2, I took off the 1, and then 2x plus 5. As far as which dimension's which, it doesn't matter. Okay, and the next one. X plus 6 is one of the dimensions, find the other two. The volume is x to the third plus 13x second plus 34x minus 48. So length times width times height equals this volume. I'm given one of the factors, I have to find the other two. Okay, so you set that equal to 0, and that's negative 6, so there's your divisor. The other two dimensions, 1, 13, 34, negative 48. So you carry down your 1. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6, and we add, we get 7. Times negative 6 is negative 42, then we add, we get negative 8. Times negative 6 is positive 48, and there's my 0. So the one that used to be x to the third is now 1x second plus the 7x minus the 8 equals 0. Okay, now just factor it. Once you factor it, that's what you put for the question marks, the parentheses. You don't need to find the roots. Okay, so 3 terms of the GCF and the table. Okay, no x, no negative 1/7/8, so don't do it. 1 times negative 8 is negative 8, so it's positive by a negative, and we're adding to try to get plus 7. 1 and 8 is negative 7, I just go plus 8 minus 1. Now, set your parentheses up. So a is 1x to the second. I can drop the 1, and then x second goes into xx. Remember, don't split that. If that's like a 9, you put 9x, but it's a 1, so it's x minus 1, x plus 8, and I don't need to do that. Okay, the plus is dropped. The minus is not perfect squares because it's just x, so it'll be x minus 1. Now, you don't need to do the equals 0, you just need to put x plus 8 for your question mark there, and x minus 1 here. Now, you could flip them, it doesn't matter, okay? But they're giving you the volume, they give you one dimension, so you're dividing the volume by the root of that dimension, and that allows you to find the other two expressions for the dimension.